How's everyone doing? Welcome back to the House of Business Podcast 2.0. I had to get that good old coffee. This is the place we give you the knowledge and the tools to execute your dreams and your visions. We're coming live from New York City as we always do, man. Hope everyone's having a great morning out there. We usually record these on Saturday around 6 p.m., but I felt like I really need to, you know, uh, get this episode out there because we skipped last Saturday. But today's episode is going to be creating psychological safety in the workplace. Once again, that's creating psychological safety in the workplace. So I'm going to give you 3 talk points as I usually do, just to make sure that we stay on topic and stay within the duration of time. So number one, create an environment where people feel safe to speak up. So one thing I've learned is that people can contribute to their can't contribute. Sorry about that. A lot of people cannot contribute their best ideas if they're afraid of being embarrassed, ignored, or punished for speaking up. So this is one thing I understand, and one thing I've learned: companies cannot scale without creativity. Like you can scale a company, with, let's say, trying to manipulate, or there's some type of persuasion that has to be done when it comes to sales, when you have to help the client or the customer understand that what you're selling is going to be beneficial to them, more beneficial to them than their money is to the company. So there has to be some level of persuasion when it comes to sales. Also, same thing when it comes to marketing. But the most important asset to a company is creativity. It is creating a new product, or upgrading a product, or integrating a new line of products into a product that's already available. Let's say you have a yoga studio, and then you want to integrate other products that may not be yoga products, more of a fitness product, but has the same pink color, the same purple color, or a black color that goes along with the yoga mat, maybe some dumbbells, maybe some other things that doesn't particularly align with yoga, but you can integrate those products just to make better sales. So, but you need someone that's creative. You need someone, or if you like mergers and acquisitions, you buy another company. Once you buy another company and you obtain those assets from that company and all the equity in that company, if they don't sell it or you have some deal. So once you obtain another company, you want to find a way to integrate that company into your company. Sometimes a lot of people obtain another company that's on the same level of the supply chain as them, but some people go horizontal integration and some go vertical integration. But you want to find some kind of way within the supply chain where you can integrate those companies, because it's going to be hard to integrate a tattoo shop and a ballet studio. So you need to find something that's along the supply chain, maybe a manufacturer, maybe something that's on the same level to integrate that. But you need someone that is creative enough to find those deals and also create a integration strategy for the purchase of that new company. And one thing you want to do is make sure the environment is safe enough for people to bring you those ideas in order for your company to grow. So psychological safety means creating an environment where employees can ask questions, raise concerns, and share ideas respectfully. So it's a lot of times that, when I first started my first company, you want to get the company off the ground, so you're just hiring people that's competent. A lot of times you'll hire people that's not competent, but that's willing to see your vision and willing to grow with you. They may not be as competent, but they can learn the skill set. They can learn certain things that needs to be done within the company. So you're like, okay, I need to, now I have the capital. I need to start hiring people. And you will make the wrong hires in order to get human capital, in order to scale your company or get your company off the ground and get the office filled so the work can be done. But later on, if those individuals do not grow in emotional intelligence, they do not grow in leadership, even if you set aside a budget for team development, if these individuals do not grow, you have to let them go, even though they started with you. Or if you have multiple companies, maybe you can send them to another company. But if their character doesn't change, if they become a gatekeeper of ideas, a gatekeeper of if they this is one thing I always look for: jealousy. Anyone that I hire, if they're easily jealous or some, they will unconsciously or consciously sabotage your company just based off of their emotion. So I got a company, you work for me, I have a vision. You believed in the vision. I am paying you your time for your value and your skill set. But when someone else comes in that's a little bit more creative, they're a little bit more enthusiastic, they have a brighter personality. Just because the position that I placed you in, you want to be a gatekeeper and find ways to sabotage that person, get them out of the company because you're intimidated. I will fire you. I will fire you because you are stopping a new gift, new creative, or someone that can help me, my company grow, where I can scale the company in order to pay you more money. But instead, your emotions got in the way of my company growing, so I will have to fire you. So you have to make sure that you create an environment where the employees can ask questions and raise concerns. Because as a leader, you would hate to not really take not really be aware of the concerns within your company, and you will have a lot of bitter employees that are mad at you. And you come in every day, you're waving, "Hey, how are you? How are you, Jessica? Hey, how are you? How are you, Dan?" You can go around, you can wave and be happy, but behind your back, they can have some concerns, and they'll work there because they need the money, but they will not be loyal. They will find ways to sabotage the company. The energy will be bitter because you are not taking care of those concerns, or you are not aware of those concerns because they don't feel like there is a safe space where they can tell you, or they're scared of you. So you want to open up the door for concerns in order to make sure that the work environment and company culture stays at a place where people feel free to grow in their potential. So I want my team to know that disagreement isn't automatically disrespect. It can be an opportunity to see problems from another perspective. So you want to understand that just because I disagree or someone disagrees with everything, now you do have to have discernment. Is this person just disagreeing because of the position that they're in? And because I've been in situations where a lot of individuals will disagree with the employee who deserves the credit for the new pricing strategy or for the new marketing strategy, or they have a different outlook on the target market strategy that can help us expand to, let's say, another state or something like that. But then before the idea gets to me, there can be someone that blocks that idea and say that's not a good idea and give reason why it's not a good idea. And then they can take that idea and present it before me as if it was their original idea. So I've learned, where did this idea come from? How did you come up with? You have to ask questions so you can get the originator of the idea, because more than likely they have more ideas and that's just the first one. So you really have to understand, like, where are the ideas coming from? Where did this value and this creativity come from? You really have to get to the core of those things. But just because someone disagrees with you doesn't automatically mean that I'm disrespecting your value or disrespecting. This is just not a good fit for the company at this moment. So when people feel heard, they are more willing to participate and contribute. It's just like a marriage. I tell people all the time, to be an entrepreneur, you are married to every last company and the employees you're taking care of. Uh, when people feel heard, let me put it like this. You know, even with a teenage, no, not a teenager anymore, but if anyone ever had a teenage daughter or a teenage son, when they feel more heard, even though you feel like, I've outlived you, I've done more than you, where you're trying to go, I've already been there, there's nothing you can tell me. But if you are more willing and open to understand, or at least open enough to listen, they will tell you more. You know why your why your daughter hasn't told you about her secret boyfriend, because you're gonna rip her head off. You know what I mean? But you want to, because she's going to do it anyway, you know what I mean, or he's going to do it anyway. You know why your son hasn't told you that he slipped up and smoked weed with some guys on the football team? You know why? Because he doesn't feel a safe space in order to tell you those things, where you're not going to walk him through it, but and tell him like the disadvantages and how it may have an advantage in the future with cataract or something like that. But you want to know it's just not for leisure use. And if certain whatever however you would raise your kids, but they do not feel open. They do not feel like they have an open floor to tell you those things. So, when people feel heard, when they feel heard and feel like that you really hear what they're saying and really trying to understand where they are right at that moment in their life, they would be more willing to tell you more, or be willing to work more, or participate more, or stay overtime, say over, if they feel heard. So number two, treat mistakes as opportunities to learn. So one thing I realized, creating psychological safety doesn't mean eliminating accountability. It means separating learning from unnecessary blame. So when you make a mistake, or people make mistakes within the company, even you yourself, you have to separate. You have to separate learning. All right, this is an opportunity where I have to be held accountable. Just because, you know what I mean, it's a comfortable environment to say certain things and do certain things. That doesn't mean that you get to pass the blame on to someone else. Just because your position, like I said, I worked in corporate settings a lot of times, and a lot of individuals who are in management or general manager, what they would do is when they were incompetent or in a lot of situations, or they couldn't do something, instead of working with the individual that they delegated the task to in order to learn, they'll give away impossible tasks that they're incompetent of executing, and they want it to go wrong, so they can always have someone to blame. That doesn't you don't do that. So when something goes wrong, so I focus on understanding what happened and why it happened and how we can prevent it from happening again. So you have to really take the time to do your research when it comes to your particular company and why are we failing in this area. So a lot of times it may start with the profit and loss statement. You can look at your profit and loss statement. You can see, okay, our operating capital is it's too much. What can we get rid of? Why is it so off balance? So you can start with the operating, with the profit and loss statement, and kind of see where you can downsize, or why is it costing so much. You guys make, let's say, $6,000 in sales. You know what I mean? This is a startup company, nice little startup company. Make $6,000 in sales a week, but you're spending over 4,800 in just the office, the lights, the Wi-Fi, the payroll. Like you're wondering why are we only making so much? What are we doing wrong? Maybe we might need to change our manufacturer. Maybe we might need to. So those profit and loss statements will help you to understand exactly like what's going on, and you need to figure that out and understand why it's happening and what way you can fix it. So without passing the blame, still hold yourself accountable. You don't look for someone's like, oh well, Megan's ordering Starbucks every week. You know what I mean? From the company credit card or whatever. That may not be the problem. The problem might be you set aside a budget for that if that's what you promise. If you promise that when people come into your company, there's going to be breakfast or coffee, and that's the particular type of coffee that you have stated in their welcome package, and as a part of the company culture, you need to make sure that stays there because that's something that you have promised. But you need to at least get a some type of collaboration or something going on with the company, or some type of membership where it costs less because you order it every day or something like that. So just figure out what's going on. And I know there can be deeper problems, but I'm just going a little bit surface level when it comes to these things. But it could be deeper problems. Like I said, it could be the employees. It could be you yourself as a leader. It could be the operational cost that it has. It could be sales. Maybe someone in sales is not hitting their numbers every week. So when you're paying somebody that's not producing, that's another thing too. Have too much overhead. So employees should always be able to acknowledge mistakes before small problems become major ones. Yeah, I say employees should, but you as a leader should also be able to see those mistakes as well, because they will not. When people love where they work and it's open, it's a good culture, and it's open for suggestions and things like that. A lot of individuals won't hold themselves accountable. They'll pass the blame along. So you need to be able to discern and be able to see what's going on in that company and get rid of some of those individuals if necessary. So a culture that encourages learning from mistakes can be more adaptable and resilient. So let me put it like this. I want to help you to understand something. Holding someone accountable doesn't mean guilt tripping them or condemning them for making a mistake. Yeah, all right. The problem is you made a mistake, but you as a leader need to give them some type of outlet in order to grow to correct that mistake. If you're just bashing people, if you're just bashing people and condemning people and making people feel guilty for making a mistake, but you're not saying, okay, we see that you made a mistake here, and hopefully not a financial mistake or a legal mistake that can cost your company everything, but we see that you made a mistake here when we ordered on our cleaning service. we got the wrong dates on this date, and now we're getting complaints, and we've already taken a partial payment, and that's causing conflict, and that's messing up our brand awareness, and and messing up our target. I mean, our marketing, because we're marketing a certain thing, but you're overcharging or we're getting the wrong dates. So that's affecting the company and our brand awareness when it comes to us expanding. So what you need to do, you talk about the mistake, but what you need to do is you need to make sure that you double check everything that you do when it comes to scheduling, when it comes to the amount that needs to be paid. You need to make sure and give them some type of video. I don't care if it's a YouTube video, the importance of correction, or the importance of using software, or the importance of data entry when it comes to taxes or anything like that. So you want to make sure that you give them some type of learning information on top of you grilling them for making a mistake. And I wouldn't say grilling them, but correcting them for making a mistake. You want to at least give them some type of resource that could help them to correct that, not just tell them to correct it. So I myself personally build trust through consistent leadership. So I've learned that psychological safety starts with leadership. So and my team watches how I respond under pressure. So a lot of times, yeah, man, I may go off or say something, but to myself, it could be, I rarely express myself or vent to people for the simple fact that, people look at, some people just put you on a pedestal. You think you're living a normal life, and some people just put you on a pedestal and they'll watch how you respond. So, and some people will intentionally inflict you to get you to respond a certain way. And once they don't get that response that they felt like how you would respond, then that's where a level of respect comes in. At so your employees will try you, just like your children will try you. You know what I mean? You got a child, they'll try you. You know what I'm saying? But your employees will try you too as a leader to see if they can get away with this, or if they can get away with that, or if you are who you say you are. So all those things play a big part in leadership. But you have to be consistent as well. So even being consistent as a leader means that you will make some mistakes, and they will see you make those mistakes, but they want to see how do you come out on top after making a mistake, and after being holding yourself accountable, and have to and becoming strategic on how to get out of that situation. So if I want my employees to communicate openly, I have to listen without immediately becoming defensive. Consistency, respect, transparency, and follow through help me to establish trust over time. So when employees trust their leaders, they are more likely to bring forward ideas, concerns, and solutions. That's what you want. You want solutions. There are always going to be problems. If you did everything right, there's still going to be a problem. There's always someone that's going to have a problem with what you're doing, even though you're not doing anything wrong. You can do everything right. This is just how crazy the business world is, and this is how crazy life is. You can do everything wrong, and people can praise you for it because now they have some type of ammo or have something to use against you. They'll praise you for it. Some people will kill a king and will crown a clown. It's just how it is. You know what I mean? Uh, but when they trust you, you know what I mean. They're more likely to bring forth solutions, and that's what you need. Solutions. There's always going to be problems, but those solutions is what you're looking for. You're not looking for, okay, we didn't hit our numbers this week. What can we need to find a solution to advance, or to make sure that we can execute that task or that responsibility when it comes to hitting those numbers. You need to be solution based, not not prone to problems all the time. You need to be solution based. So uh, this is uh, this is the House of Business Podcast 2.0, the place where we give you the knowledge and the tools to execute your dreams and visions. This episode was called Creating Psychological Safety in the Workplace. We are coming live from New York City, but we will be back here next Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you guys then. Thank you. Peace.